Does anyone else wish to be recognized? Representative Haws.
Thank you very much. A lot of people, this come to a surprise. One of the reasons that I would do it this way is I have no resistance to my friends trying to talk me out of things. So it would be all over. To all those people that are retiring for their first time, let me tell you, be calm. Be calm. I've been a public servant for 48 years. I've retired 3 times, and every one of them was terrific. This differs, though, from the other retirements because I'm doing so in this awesome building and awesome room. This is chapel architecture, and it just penetrates our whole being to take the job serious and to stay on mission. Can you imagine if we had this building now in Ellis Hossman's bonding bill? From that side of the aisle would come an amendment. You know, the average Minnesotan is only 5'10". We could put 6 rooms up here just like a shot. And we'd ask for a roll call. Let us look just a second at this building and what it does for us. Representative Swales was talking about this structure in front of us, this sculpture. And at the bottom it says, "The trail of the pioneers bore the footprints of liberty." If you squint a little higher, written in gold and written in Latin. Hard to see. But I was an altar boy for a couple of weeks, so let me translate that one. It said, "The voice of the people is the voice of God." Also, that whole artistic form there is called the spirit of government. It's not called the spirit of politics. It is called the spirit of government. Now, I get to tell great stories about my father, but I'm aced out with the immigrants coming across and 9 going to college and living in that, so I'll have to do some Irish ad-libbing to equal it. My dad had an 8th grade education, as many people did at that time. It was actually a pretty good education. It's not now, but it was at that time. Actually, you went to school till you were 16 and then you got out. He was in 8th grade when he was 12 and stayed there for 4 years because he had to by law. My older brothers, 3 of them, were in World War II. And when they came back from World War II, they had been down to see Paris, and there's no way are they going to stay on the farm. And so they wanted to be educated. I think they all wanted to be veterinarians because that's the only one in town that had a college degree, and so they wanted to be just like him. My dad could not figure out how you do that. How do you send people away to college? I mean, this farm is not making money. It had green acres. No, it did not. But it was not making money. But he was a visionary. So he moved the whole family. There was 8 of us, which is a big family by our standards. And if you talk to my LA little Pocamp from Piers, it's like a half a family. So, but 8 is a lot. And he moved them to a college town. And he bought a house between the library and the college. And he took us to the front lawn and he said, "Over there, on your left, is the library. And on your right is a college. What else do I need to do for you? What else do I need to do for you?" You know, that was 2/3 the job, really, wasn't it? because I had parents that would sacrifice and would sacrifice and would work. They would work 2 jobs if they needed that in order to get done what they needed to do for their family. They had motivated kids, sometimes punishable by death, but motivated. And we had a government called the spirit of government that pulled its weight. When I went to school, the state paid for 60% of the education, and I paid for 40%. And none of us were thrown away. We had 7 out of the 8 graduated from college, 5 of us with honors. I want to do a few thank yous also. And I would like to start with thanking some of my chairs here. Representative Mahoney, and he's into that bioscience and economic development, and if you would write all the great things they've done. But let me tell you one that I had on my campaign literature, so anytime you accomplish that, you feel pretty protected and safe when you're door knocking. And I thought we should be a bioscience zone in St. Cloud, in central Minnesota, because we got all the things you need. And he assigned me to a committee then to develop a criteria. And on that committee was Representative Pippin and Representative Gottwald. I said, yeah, thanks a lot, Mahoney. This is going to be friendly. But it was. And we accomplished a fine criteria. And I judge it fine because St. Cloud now is a bioscience zone. I'd like to, when I grow up, I want to be just like this guy. Representative Paymar, you know, I get to so's your mother about the third fight in on the debate, and you stay so calm. But I would like to thank you for understanding the problems of counties and county mandates and getting some of the nastiest mandates off that we could take off, and all that was also on my campaign literature. I would like to thank Alice Hausman for putting together bonding bills that are fair and that are comprehensive and take in the geographical location. She can stand up and talk about your projects almost as well as you can. And in my short time here, both in the minority and the majority, because my district needs things, because we have schools, and we have regional airports, and we have the prison, and we have an armory. If you don't take care of your own stuff, who's going to? And that's why, you know, bonding projects are very important. I authored and passed 15 bonding projects. This year we had 5 bonding projects that were dynamite projects that made it through, and all of them were scratch and sniffs to what a bonding project should be. 2 of those got vetoed. One veto cost us $13 million worth of construction jobs, $13 million worth of paychecks for people that were 50% unemployed, 270 full-time jobs, and $18.4 million worth of economy for my town. Now I'm going to be over this veto in a month, maybe a year, maximum 20 years. I'll be over it by then. Once in 2007, on a Sunday evening, I got a phone call, and it was a staff person from the governor's office. And they said, would you be interested in co-carrying and co-authoring with Representative Severson, because I understand that you and Representative Severson are friends. And I said, let me check, and I'll check, and I'll see if I can do that. And I was allowed to do that. And those were major bills. And we got help from Junkie and Otremba and Coonan to allow us to pass through. And this is probably the best legislative changes to making Minnesota a friendly state. Now let's go back to Severson and I being friends.